So about 6 months ago, I started my own marketing agency while working a 9-to-5 job. And last month, I hit 10.6K in my agency with about 80% of that being profits. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact process I followed over the last 3 years to achieve this and hopefully give you a realistic view of what it's like for an average dude like me to get these types of results. So a bit about my background, I never worked with agencies or did sales or outreach before, but I did do a year of drop shipping with okay results. And I did do YouTube obviously for about 8 to 10 months. And during this time, I learned a bit about direct response marketing, about a little bit about Facebook ads, and obviously I learned a bit about how to make videos on YouTube. And my current marketing agency is a YouTube ads agency for info products. So some of the basic skills and knowledge did carry over, but I also had to learn a lot of stuff from my own from scratch. And of course, I was working in a 9-to-5 corporate job. However, it was remote, which did make my life a lot easier. So I'm going to break down this roadmap, I guess you could say, into 5 phases. But before we get into phase 1, I'm going to start with phase 0, which is the foundations. This is basically what kind of person do you have to be before you can actually achieve any level of success. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear about like mindset and habits and all this kind of stuff, but honestly, after seeing a bunch of people on my server trying to build their businesses and trying to do the work, I can tell you that right now, if you do not have this shit down, you will only be 20%, if not like 10% as effective as people who do have their shit together. And the problem for me was that back when I was just starting out 3 years ago, I was not that ambitious. I was not focused. I had terrible habits. I was a piece of shit. I just wanted to play games all day. I just wanted to hang out with my girlfriend and chill and just like honestly do whatever the I want. It was only when my life started to get kind of shit and when I started to realize how powerless and how useless I was that I actually started to kind of kick things into gear and start being all ambitious and shit. And so basically I went into a full 6-month phase of self-improvement before I actually even started my first business. And I will say that this phase probably made all the difference for me. So if that sounds like you and you're in the stage of life, pay attention. So let's start with your mindset, right? You have to think a certain way before you can actually start doing things the right way. So the first few mindsets you need, first of all, is you need to take action. You need to take a disgusting amount of action. I see so many guys on my server, they do so much useless shit, right? They're building their website, and then they're building their website, and then they're building their website, and then they do some planning for the week, and then they're like, oh, I reached out to 20 businesses this week. You have to take a disgusting amount of action, but you also have to take the right amount of action. If you just sit there and shut yourself off, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, read a bunch of books, and spend 2 hours a day actually doing the high ROI activities, you're not going to get shit done. And also, you're not going to learn, right? You're not even going to know what you don't know until you actually put in the work, do the outreach, do the sales, do whatever you need to do to actually start putting your offer out there. Now, the next thing you need is responsibility, right? You need to take absolute full responsibility for yourself and your life, even if it's not your fault, even if it's not fair. Nobody is going to save you. You have to help yourself. And the thing is, life is not fair for really anyone. Sure, some people have it easier, but some people are dumber, some people are smarter, some people are poorer, some people are short, and you just gotta play with the cards you're dealt. But you have to take responsibility no matter what your situation is. Like your teacher's not gonna come save you, your parents aren't gonna come save you, Andrew Tate is not gonna come save you, I'm not gonna save you. You have to help yourself, and you have to decide that you are the only one who can change your life and actually take action and put in the work every day. So the next one I would say is probably not as big of a problem, and this is having a growth mindset. A lot of you, if you are watching this video, you probably do have a growth mindset. You probably do believe that you can improve, that you can change over time as long as you put in the effort. So I'm not too concerned about that one for you guys, but you have to have a growth mindset, right? If you want to actually improve yourself. And finally, the last one I would say is probably a little bit unexpected, but it's to actually have confidence, right? And this, I know a lot of people say, oh, you need to earn your confidence. I'm talking about a different kind of confidence. I'm talking about having unreasonable faith, unrealistic expectations, almost borderline delusional and crazy belief that you are going to succeed. Some way, somehow, with your dumbass who doesn't do shit all day, somehow you're gonna figure it out and succeed. Because here's the thing, no one's gonna believe in you at the beginning when you're just starting out. You're a loser, you have no value, you don't got shit. Yeah, you're a nobody, and nobody is going to believe in you, not even your parents, unless you tell them a really compelling story or they're very nice to you. But you have to believe in yourself, and it has to be a disgusting amount, right? You have to unreasonably believe in yourself, even if there's no reason to believe it. And honestly, if I didn't have a ridiculous, unreasonable amount of belief in myself, I wouldn't be where I am today. Next, let's talk about your habits. So this is like pretty standard stuff, but you have to get it right. Otherwise, or at least you want to get it partially right. Otherwise, you're just not going to be effective, and you're just going to waste so much time and get nowhere. So the first thing you need to do is you need to handle and take care of your dopamine. Stop scrolling through your phone all day. Stop freaking jerking off all the time. Stop playing video games. Stop eating a bunch of junk food. Stop watching a bunch of crap. You have to take care of your attention and your dopamine, and you have to manage your brain, right? You have to make sure that whatever is going in here, whatever is going through your ears, through your eyes, through your nose, through your you have to make sure that you are filtering what goes into your mind, because if you do not train your brain properly, you will not be able to do the things that are difficult, that are boring, that, don't give you like a burst of excitement every 2 seconds. So stop scrolling through TikTok, stop doing all this stupid shit. Actually sit down and spend some time to write, to read, to learn, and to work. Now, the next thing you need to have proper time management. This is pretty straightforward stuff. Again, guys, you need time to actually work on your business, especially at the beginning. You're not going to be able to like do one thing for half an hour, do another thing for half an hour, go watch TV for like 2 hours. It doesn't work like that. I was working 9 to 5. I was waking up at 5 a.m. every single day, working until 9 a.m. And that's the only time I got to work on my business, right? Of course, I had the weekends as well, but I had to, rest for like half a day sometimes. But you do have to give yourself time to actually, give yourself space to even think. And that has to come from good time management. And some obvious ones, obviously, are your health, right? Your sleep, your diet, you need exercise, you take care of these things. Otherwise, your body is not going to function. Your brain is not going to function. And you're just going to be, again, working at like half capacity when you could be just taking care of yourself with an hour a day and just working at way higher productivity. And finally, as a part of your foundations in phase 0, I want to talk about having some basic skills. This isn't like outreach. This isn't sales. This isn't doing marketing or anything. This is some basic shit that everyone needs, no matter whether they're doing business or just life in general. And believe it or not, a lot of people suck ass at these things, especially the first one I'm going to talk to you about, which is people skills. Oh my goodness. I see in my server these people sending these outreach messages, which are just like, they're so stupid. They defy all emotional intelligence logic. And honestly, I don't have like a quick fix for fixing your shitty people skills, but if you don't have any people skills, if you find that people are always like telling you to off, that's probably a good sign that you need to fix something, right? And if you really don't know what you're doing, I would read standard books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This stuff is corny, but it works. And if you don't have the skills, go get them, because they're very, very important. Another skill you really, really need is organization. Then this is kind of like, I kind of covered this before with the time management thing, but you need to organize your time, you need to organize your personal space, like your physical space, and you need to organize your workspace, right? Your online workspace, your folders, your emails, all that kind of shit needs to be organized. Because once you're managing 10 clients, once you have like 5 team members, and you're also juggling like a 9 to 5 job like I was, shit gets very, very hectic. And if you can't manage this stuff, you're not going to be able to like get stuff done. You're not going to know what the fuck's going on, and you're going to drop the ball a lot of the time. And finally, this is again really, really important. You need to have critical thinking skills. You need to actually use your brain. I already talked about this in my other videos, but you need to actually I don't know how else to say it. Guys, there's so many people that just ask stupid questions nonstop. Like, you can ask 1 or 2 once in a while, but you have to think. You have to think for yourself. Other people aren't going to do it for you. And, by the time you've asked like your 10th question, like, people just want to tell you to fuck off, even if it's your friend or your mom. So just think for yourself, because if you don't, again, no one's coming to save you. Take responsibility for your life, and that includes your brain. Take responsibility for your own mind and try to think and do stuff. So that's pretty much for phase 0. Now let's actually get into the good stuff, right? Phase 1, which is where many of you are probably at or have just, are starting to graduate from, which is the learning phase. So I'm just going to go over a list of resources, which I think are quite useful and have helped me on my journey. Most of these things you guys will be familiar with, but I'm just going to give you my experience of them. So first of all is YouTube videos. This is honestly, YouTube videos are a good resource. Obviously, they'll give you a kind of a good start. Yeah, YouTube videos, they're a great resource for getting started and just basically getting your feet wet. But the problem is a lot of content out there, especially for stuff like dropshipping and SMMA, 90% of the content out there is just pure trash. Like, it has no substance. It teaches you nothing. A lot of it is clickbait, and yeah, you just don't know any better. A lot of the time the content out there just makes no sense. It sounds like it's useful, but really it's like basic shit you could find with like 2 Google searches. So use it where you can, but don't rely on it too much or 100%. Although it is possible to just use YouTube content to build a business, I wouldn't recommend it. Next, let's talk about books. So this I wouldn't use so much for like SMMA and specifically, but more for like general business and marketing knowledge, because there are some really good books out there. So if you're doing something like a marketing agency, I would recommend reading marketing books, stuff like Influence, Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. All 3 of Russell Brunson's books, they're fantastic for just internet marketing in general. Scientific Advertising by Cloud Hopkins, and obviously $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. And I think he's coming out with a 2nd book soon, so I would check that out as well. And now let's talk about courses. So there's also free courses out there, which I haven't really looked into, but I've taken like a quick glance at one of them. They do look pretty solid, honestly. And if you can find 1 or 2, they're probably a pretty good place to get started, because you can basically see all the information you need in a very organized manner. And honestly, like, just having done it myself, I think some of these courses out there that are free are pretty okay. Now, of course, the next one is paid courses. I think that you should at least get 1 good paid course. Now, I would say you don't need more than 1, because like 90% of the courses out there teach pretty much the same thing, but you do want at least 1, because they do teach a lot of things really, really well, especially for a beginner who doesn't know what they're doing. I do find that courses are a really good place to just get a lot of the foundational stuff out of the way. And a lot of the courses also come with very, very useful templates, right? Like scripts, contracts, all that kind of stuff that are, again, really good for someone who just doesn't have access to these resources on hand. Now, one of the courses I've taken, of course, is Agency Navigator by Eman. It's a pretty good course, but doesn't go into as much detail as I would like in some categories. But again, not every course is perfect, but I would say it's definitely good enough for you to kind of get your first clients and really get a foundational understanding of business and SMMA in general. Next, I'm going to talk about coaching. So coaching is actually my favorite kind of like educational resource because again, it's just so much better than courses. And the reason is because coaches, they can actually tell you, they can answer specific questions that you have at a specific point in time. And they can basically guide you along your journey that is specific to you, and it'll help you progress much, much faster. Now, the only thing is courses are expensive. They're usually like at least thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands, depending on who you're going with. And honestly, I would still recommend it if you can afford it. I would say coaching is best for people who have like 1 to 3 clients and can pay that amount off within the next like 1 to 3 months. That's what I did. So the coaching that I paid for is Montel Gordon's. Very, very solid program. Shout out to Montel. Comment down below, dude, if you're watching this. But yeah, his course is honestly great for beginners. His systems definitely work. Like I've used them to make thousands of dollars in my own agency. But yeah, his programs, like they definitely work. Like I've used his systems to make thousands of dollars myself. So yeah, I think he's great for beginners. Another coaching program that I've been a part of is Charlie Morgan's. And his program, again, is really, really good. It's a lot more expensive, I would say, but he basically covers like literally everything that comes with building an agency and running an agency. So again, I would say Charlie's program is more for like intermediate agency owners, like people who have at least 1 to 3 clients, but it definitely can work for like a beginner. But if you've never touched like business before, you have no idea what you're doing, I would not recommend something like Charlie's program. But I do want to put out a quick disclaimer. No matter how much you pay for a coach or for a course, you have to put in the work. Like if you're not doing hours of outreach every single day, not week. If you're not putting hours of outreach every single day for the first like 1 to 2 months, you're not gonna like none of this shit matter. You're not gonna learn anything. Like if you're not putting offers out there, none of this stuff you're learning actually will help you in any way. And another thing is like everyone likes to claim that they're self-made, right? But you have to realize that a lot of the gurus out there, they all took courses, right? They all took coaching. They all learn from mentors. They have some resource out there where they actually like spent a lot of time or effort or money in acquiring the knowledge that they got. And I'm not trying to say like buy my course. I don't have a course or anything, but like you have to understand that people don't succeed quickly just because they're like geniuses. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself, and sometimes it's going to be pricey. And that's just my take on it. You can go the free route if you want. I'm sure some people are doing it, and I'm sure it works for people. So how long should you actually spend in the learning phase? This is a bit hard for me to say specifically for you because I have been kind of learning marketing on the back, like on the side for like the last 2 years, right? Not just the last 6 months. And it also largely depends on your service. But I would say like purely for like SMMA client acquisition, like, outreach, sales, that basic stuff, I would say you don't need more than like 1 to 2 months. You can really learn that stuff really, really quickly with like one script, a little bit of education on like cold outreach, and you're good to go. But for service delivery, I would say you can take anywhere from 1 to 6 months, depending on how competent you are and what kind of service you're providing. But of course, you can fast track this process by, hiring a contractor, but you still want them to kind of teach you as you go along. So now let's get to phase 2, which is actually picking a niche and picking a service. So this is probably one of the biggest topics for beginners in the SMMA space. Honestly, for the most part, it doesn't matter, but there are some things you do need to consider when picking your niche and service. First of all, saturation is real. It's definitely a thing. It'd be stupid to ignore it. However, it's not as big of a deal as you think for most niches. The only niche I would stay away from is e-commerce if you're a beginner, because it's very hard to get results if you don't know what you're doing. And most of the business owners already know marketing themselves. And the only service I would kind of stay away from offering just by itself is Facebook ads, because every agency out there offers Facebook ads, and it'll be really hard to stand out without like a really good offer. But you can add a lot of other services onto it, right? Like Google ads, content creation, like social media management, whatever you can think of. Now, here's my recommendations and what I did. So again, for the niche, it honestly doesn't matter, but if you're just a beginner and you do want to do paid ads, I would go with local businesses, because you just don't need that much marketing expertise to get good results, or at least decent results for local businesses. However, if you do want to go with like a more online business model, or target online clients, then I would say you want to start with a content creation type of service, or at least some type of convenience offer, rather than doing paid ads or some type of ROI offer. And the reason for that is because, again, it's not easy to get results for people online unless you really know what you're doing or you have a lot of experience. And of course, you can start with an ROI service if you're a beginner, but you just have to spend more time learning, or you have to find a very, very good contractor to begin with, which is not easy. Now it's time for step 3, which is take action. You have to put in the reps as soon as possible. And I've said this before, but there's just so many people that spend so much time spinning the wheels, doing useless shit that nobody cares about, that doesn't matter, that doesn't get their business anywhere. And for me, thankfully, I'm very grateful that I started doing outreach basically the second day I started my agency, right? I had no website, I had no contractor, I had nothing. All I had was a custom email. Actually, I don't even know if I had a custom email yet. Like I was literally on Upwork just sending like messages to people like, hey, like let me do work. Now, the one thing you do need is to have a payment processor, right? I recommend using Stripe. I honestly don't know any other options out there. Stripe is awesome. it works, and that's pretty much it. And kind of on the point of Upwork. So I think Upwork definitely does work, although you have to be careful like what type of service you offer. Not all services are well suited for Upwork, and you also can't really pick your niche on Upwork. However, pretty much all the guys on my server who have gotten really fast results, early on in their agency, or just when they started out, they all use Upwork. So it definitely does work, but you just have to find a right offer and right proposal to use on the platform. And I would also say that it's really good for your first 1 or 2 clients, but it's really hard to kind of scale your agency using just Upwork outreach. So when it comes to like taking action on outreach and sales calls, you do want to have more quantity over quality at the beginning. Because the thing is, you're not going to know what quality looks like until you've actually done the quantity, right? And the only way you're going to be able to improve your quality is by tracking and measuring everything. Know all of your metrics. Always try to be improving your numbers, and that's really the only way you're going to be able to improve your client acquisition. And if you want to learn more about outreach and getting clients, I already talk about a lot of outreach in my other videos, so go check those out. So now let's get into phase 4, which is service delivery. So this is where I think a lot of beginners kind of get tripped up and they kind of start spinning the wheels. Like they start watching a bunch of YouTube videos, they start asking a bunch of questions, but they don't really know where to go. So first thing that's probably really important for most people is, should I hire a contractor or should I just do it myself? Again, I make another video about this. If you know what you're doing, just do it yourself for a little bit and then hire someone else to help you. Or if you have no idea what you're doing, hire someone right away and get them to teach you as you go along. That's pretty much it. But how do you actually go about learning service delivery? How do you actually get good at it? So again, I talk about this in another video. I'll put it somewhere here, but you just have to put the time in, right? You have to learn, you have to watch videos, you have to maybe take some courses. And if you don't know how to go about service delivery, like, or what to offer, go talk to people in your niche, right? Again, I talk about this in my other video, but just go talk to like your potential clients or prospects and say, hey, like what problems are you having, and figure out how to solve that problem. Again, all of this can be done with a bunch of Google searches and YouTube searches. For me, I didn't know 90% of my service, right? Sure, I knew the basics of paid ads and I knew the basics of marketing, but I didn't know YouTube ads. I didn't know what a good YouTube ad looks like. I didn't know how to do the media buying for YouTube ads. I didn't know how to do the funnel building. I've never worked with like info products or coaches or courses before. So I had to start a lot of this from scratch. So I spent literally like, while I was doing outreach for like content creation, I was doing like research on YouTube and on courses for YouTube ads, right? I was like, how the do I run YouTube ads? How do I like build out this funnel? How do I make the right video ad? How to do creatives? You have to learn this stuff and you just have to like put the time in while you're building the business, right? That's just how it's going to be. If you're not going to put in the time, I mean, sucks, right? And finally, phase 5 is growing and scaling. And again, the only way you're going to be able to grow and scale on the client acquisition side is to be able to track and measure everything. If you don't know what your metrics are, then you're not going to be able to like really grow. Now, of course, once you do get to a point where you have good conversion rates on your cold emails, on your cold calls, then yeah, you can kind of like autopilot things and just let things run on the side while you work on the business or, work on service delivery. Now, one thing I highly recommend, which is what I did at the beginning, is to hire someone to help you qualify your leads or to do lead gen for you and to also help you do outreach for you. So I actually bought like a list of 40,000 leads from builtwith.com and it cost like $300. So I didn't really have to do like lead generation, but I did have to have someone go in and actually make sure the leads were legit and actually find their emails and make sure they were qualified businesses for me to reach out to. And I was paying this person around $350 per month, around $300 per month to basically do the lead gen for me and to also check the emails and to write like a little piece, part of the email that I could use as personalization. And that's what's called like a personalized first line, for example. And basically I just combined that with Lemlist, which is like a cold email automation software. And that's what I did. But you have to know your numbers and you have to have like decent conversion rates before you start automating everything. Otherwise, you're just going to be multiplying garbage and you might get a client here and there, but you're just not going to be able to get the high quality clients if you don't have high quality outreach and sales. And honestly, once you get to the phase of scaling, like let's say you have like 2 to 4 clients, you really want to just start putting in more numbers and just constantly trying to improve each part of your business. Maybe you need to build some systems so that you can actually handle the service delivery load. Or maybe you need to spend more time cleaning your leads so you're not wasting time on like useless sales calls that are completely unqualified. And at this point, I would say you also want to start paying for coaching and masterminds and just get around people who are smarter than you, who are doing more than you, and who can really help you basically fast track your progress. Now, will you lose money? Well, you won't lose money. Like, will it be expensive? Yes. Will your profits be low while you're investing in these courses? Yes. I was spending money on courses that I didn't even have in my business yet. I would pay for a course, I would get on a payment plan, and then I would spend the next few months trying to pay off that course. And that's just how I fast tracked my progress. And honestly, I didn't even get there that quickly. It took me like 5 months to get to 10K. And a lot of people do it a lot quicker than that if they are in some type of coaching program. But the bottom line is you always want to be reinvesting into yourself, into your business, and just improving everything that you possibly can. Now, before we kind of wrap things up, I just want to say again, none of this matters. None of this matters at all if you don't put in the work every single day. The only way you're going to be able to improve your outreach, improve your service delivery, is if you actually are doing outreach in the first place, if you are actually getting clients in the first place and able to service them. And another thing to keep in mind is like, it's not going to be easy to put in the work. Waking up at 5 a.m. and working until 9 a.m. and then doing another day job, it wasn't easy. Like, I didn't enjoy doing it, but you just have to do it, right? You have to put in the reps. You just have to like basically front load all that work so that you can actually learn, so you can actually get data, and you can actually figure out what you're good at, what you're bad at, what you like, what you don't like. And then you can start like seeing some improvements, right? You can start start maybe buying your time back. You maybe start like doing things in a way that you like. But until you put in the reps, until you realize what type of business this is, and you realize how hard it is to actually get from like 0 to 1, and you put in the work accordingly, it's just not going to happen, guys. And honestly, guys, like I run a server of like a few hundred people, right? And honestly, the main difference I see between the guys who are getting results day in and day out, even from the day that they started, compared to the guys who have been basically doing nothing for the last 3 to 4 months, is that the former just take action every single day, and not just like some random shitty action. They're doing outreach, they're doing sales calls, they're putting out offers every single day. But yeah, like you just have to be relentless about doing the work every single day, right? There's no days off, especially at the beginning. You can take like a day off here and there, but you can't just say like, oh, I did like 10 outreach a day, let me just go take a break for 2 days. You have to do this shit every single day, and you have to do it for months. You might even have to do it for years until you actually start seeing some good results. This isn't like my first run at business, right? Like I've put in the reps before, I failed a lot before, and this agency is really just a culmination of everything that I've done over the last 3 years, not just the last 6 months. And if you understand that it takes time for you to improve yourself, to get results, and to learn from them, then it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I did all this while working 9 to 5, right? So if you're, in school, if you're working a part-time job or even a full-time job, it's possible. But you have to build your life around your business, not your business around your life, right? You have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of like nights out, a lot of like time with family even, and you're just going to have to put in the work, and you can just kind of eat shit for like a year or two, but it will be worth it. And as you saw in my last video, I just quit my job, and I'm very, very grateful, very nervous, very excited, and it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't just relentlessly eat shit for the last 3 years. So hope this video helped. This was just a little bit of a story time plus a bit of a recap of how my journey went. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Click the buttons below. I'm tired. This is like the 10th video I've recorded today. Peace.